What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of album number 3 by State Champs, a pop-punk band that have been around since 2010. This new record is called Living Proof. And yes, you have been Feldmannized. 4 of the tracks, at least, are produced by John Feldmann, the pop-punk producer that has become infamous for his whoa, na-na-na styled choruses. So naturally, especially after hearing the lead single Dead and Gone, I was worried. While I never gave a full video review to their last album Around the World and Back, I thought it was decent and had memorable moments, especially singles like the lead-off single Secrets were fantastic, a lot of energy, and a lot of flair and dynamic to them that made them stand out. And that's been my problem with State Champs, outside of their debut, that is. Their first album, The Finer Things, definitely had a captivating sense of, I don't know, urgency, but also fleeting youth in a way, and I like the melodies. Even if it's not my favorite pop-punk record ever, I definitely respect the hell out of it. Around the World and Back definitely took things to a different, bigger level, and a lot of that was thanks to the production of Kyle Black, who also had a hand in making this new album Living Proof. Apparently this album was recorded in 2 different sessions, and you can definitely tell which ones were the sessions with John Feldmann and which ones were actually done with Mike Green and then just self-produced, and obviously Kyle Black. Now I get what the lead single Dead and Gone was going for. It just didn't accomplish that in my opinion at all. It's one of those songs that starts off big and you're seeing it having this sweeping feeling to it that tries to get you chanting along with it, and I just don't feel like that effect is really having any staying power, especially at this point when the millennial whoop has pretty much run its course, at least in terms of people starting to get sick of it, becoming very aware. A couple of years ago, John Feldmann really started implementing that into his production style, having people sing the that one being from Cinder Black Garden, or maybe some of the na-na-nas that you hear in Blink-182's album California that, yes, John Feldmann produced. It got Feldmannized. Dead and Gone, much like many of the other songs by State Champs on Living Proof, sound like all-time low karaoke. It's actually kinda cringy in places how much I feel like it sounds like Alex from All Time Low on the vocals instead of Derek from State Champs. But if you look into the credits, who actually had some co-writes with this band? And who would have guessed? It's Alex, and obviously you have John Feldmann, and when all 3 of these come together, you get something that you've definitely heard before, and it at times is fun, it has energy, and you can tell that there are songs that have spirit, and that they did breathe some life into them. It's just that so many of these songs just feel like other versions of other bands, and why listen to this when you could go back and listen to something so much better? Look at the single Mine is Gold, for example. I feel like that one definitely vocally sounds a lot like All Time Low, and even musically in places, the way that it comes through with a certain crunch. And as I listened through this album several times, I started to cycle through the tracks where I could definitely hear outside influences and where they started to sound like another band. In fact, the song Mine is Gold, actually the opening sounds like a direct replica of a Blink-182 opening on California. Even if I try and turn off my mind, okay, I've never heard of All Time Low. I've never listened to Blink-182. You're never gonna believe that. I'm wearing a Blink-182 shirt. Even if I've never heard of Blink-182 or these other bands, I still don't find this to be that compelling of material, especially given the lyrical content and just the shallow depth. I mean, it's not like I go to pop punk looking for just these novels upon novels of great material or great romance or just a great story in general. I mean, sometimes we get that, and that's always a blessing from above when we do. But that's a supernatural force. I'm not looking for a supernatural phenomenon here. I'm just looking for something solid that I can jam out to. And while there's cuts that definitely give us that, like Lightning, that has a great chorus to it, I even like the bass breakdown and the little guitar breaks that we get on that one. There just aren't enough of those moments that really come through strong enough to really make this a palatable listen. I do have to say that when he's being distinct, which isn't often enough, that Derek is a very solid vocalist. I like the higher, more urgent notes of the opening track Criminal, for example, and even the chorus of Mine is Gold. Even if I don't like that track all that much, I still think that he has a little bit of extra grit in there that makes the song, at the very least, a little bit entertaining. Balancing this out fairly with positives that I did hear, things that I was able to take away from this album Living Proof, you've got some of the cuts like Cut Through the Static, where you actually get the title of the album. Just make it through, be the living proof of exactly what you're going to do. And while it feels a bit cliched and formulaic, there are songs on the album that definitely steer even more into that territory, and I don't know if it's just the peers that it's surrounded by that's making this one sound better by default, but this song is actually a little bit endearing for what it is. I'm sure somebody needs to hear that message and be reminded that you can cut through all of the bullshit, through all of the static, so to speak, and make it out. Be the living proof. Do the best that you can. And while it's not the best song here, definitely not my favorite, I would say it is one of the better ones. We also get to dive into some other tracks head on that have a lot to say. Our Time to Go is a great one that actually got a pretty nice music video along with it as well, quite recently actually, and this one actually has a very sweet sentiment in the chorus. I don't know what it is, but it feels a bit reflective, and I really like the vocals and even the guitars on this one. They're not maybe as crunchy or in your face as some of these other tracks, maybe not quite as pop-punky necessarily, but still a lot of fun. The times that I'm able to tune out the Alex All-Time Low influences in Crystal Ball, I find that one a bit more enjoyable. I just don't necessarily see this being one of their best tracks. I've been seeing a lot of praise for it. Out of the singles that they put out, it is one of the better ones, but in terms of everything that they've released to date, I just don't see that being the case. It's still a somewhat good song. I don't have really any huge gripes with it outside of the vocal comparisons, and I understand that maybe that's just my ears playing tricks on me. I don't really think so, but I'll chalk it up to it possibly being that. I just don't find it to be that great, especially when there's so many other acts this year that are releasing great pop-punk music or something of that variety. Trash Boat, even the new Mayday Parade, so many other bands, even With Confidence came back strong. And this, I feel like this is something that's maybe gonna fly out of your ears and your memory a little bit quicker. And now, a brief PSA about Mark Hoppus of Blink-182 doing features. Hi there, pop punk bands, John from ARTV here. You know Mark Hoppus, legendary bassist and co-lead singer of Blink-182, one of the staples in pop punk? Of course you do. Who am I kidding? I'm just ribbing with you over here. Anyways, you need to stop featuring Mark Hoppus on all of your sad down-tempo songs. If you're wondering why, well, just look at it. It's oversaturation in the market. Hey, Neck Deep did it on December Again, featuring Mark Hoppus. We have Tidal Waves by All Time Low, featuring Mark Hoppus. And then again, we have other features, including the one on the very State Champs record that we're talking about today. And he's featured on Time Machine, featuring Mark Hoppus. Let's stop doing that. Stop doing the just phoned in Mark Hoppus features. That is all. Look, I love Blink-182. I really like Mark Hoppus. I even like his personality. I follow the dude on Twitter. I think he's really funny. But in terms of the features that keep coming out, each one just seems to get a little bit more progressively worse, more phoned in, and just annoying to me. And this track, Time Machine, oh boy, it sounds like a combination of All Time Low and Blink-182 B-sides fucking in a back alley somewhere, but then just being too ashamed to really tell anybody about what they just did because maybe they were both drunk. And then here we have Time Machine, The Leftovers, a slow, brooding song that tries to make you feel something but just doesn't. The chorus is so lacking, and overall I think lackluster is the term that applies to this song. Just the description for it could just be lackluster. That's it. On to the next one. If you can make it through some of the worst that this album has to offer, like Time Machine, or just the cringiness and the cliched tried and true Something About You, oh man, I wonder what that one's about. It's just a guy that, though he's falling for someone, there's something about her. There's something, I don't know what it is. Never heard that. Never heard it before in my life. Also Dead and Gone, Frozen, even the cliched closers, Sidelines. If you can make it through all of that, you're probably gonna be okay and actually find some enjoyment and entertainment and even listening pleasure here. You could definitely do a lot worse than this album, but you could do a whole lot better too. For me, overall, on this State Champs record, there's a couple of songs that I'll probably save, although I don't know how long they'll stay in my collection. Let me know what you guys think, though. This is all, of course, just my opinion, but I cannot give this record any more than a light 2.5 out of 5. Sound off your thoughts tastefully, respectfully in the comment section down below, and other than that, I'll see you very soon for a Mayday Parade review, because that's going to be a much better album to discuss. Actually, a very pleasant surprise. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and also subscribe so you don't miss out on other uploads like Mayday Parade and a whole lot more. You know what would be awesome? If you're able to, support me on Patreon. The top link down below, or else the annotation in the corner. There's cool perks like getting your own music reviewed if you're in a band or you're just an artist, or if you want to see your favorite band reviewed on the channel, hit me up at the top link. Other than that, a couple of recent pop punk videos here, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.